leadership is key. As leaders, we determine what our company or department will be known for. We'll determine whether what type of company will be known as. Show me a half-full company, and I'll show you a half-full leader. Show me a half-empty company, and I'll show you a half-empty leader. It's like the great Henry Ford quote, you believe you can or you can't, you're right. It's all about perspective. I think that was the biggest thing I learned in 2009. That leadership starts with perspective. And it was key to really think about how we were viewing what was happening around us. Because half full or half empty is all up here. It's in our head. It has really nothing to do with the situation. You can have exactly the same situation in an instant. You can be half full about it, and you can be half empty about it. It's just a mind shift. And I have a personal story that shows that better than any other. That happened, a major mind shift in my life. In a second, that happened in my personal life that applied to business. Now, I have an awesome husband. Many of you know Ned. And one of the things that Ned does well is he is the most amazing kitchen cook. I like to cook, he cleans. And he is an amazing cleaner-upper. I love it. He has one little downfall. How many of you have those metal little dish drains in your sink that collect all the food? When Ned is done with that job, everything that went through that system, dog food, cat food, green beans, salad, stays in that dish drain. And it infuriates me. I see that and it's gross. And I would say to Ned over and over again, we have a garbage disposal. Why don't you just turn this thing upside down, rinse it out, and be done with it? He finally said to me one day, because I know you might all think I'm really easy to live with, but I have days. And he said to me one day, I wonder what your life would be like if when you came home and you saw that dish drain, you thought about all the work that happened to get that dish drain full. And then you didn't have to clean the kitchen, you just had to empty the dish drain. Dad from my office asked me if that's when I clocked him. I didn't clock him. He was right. He was absolutely right. So what I would say to you is the next day when I came home and that dish drain was full of all the same food because he wasn't going to change. Same man, same woman, same situation. Head shift. I was now grateful. I was no longer angry. And that same theory can apply in business. Keith Stokes was our new director of economic development. Was at a breakfast a couple weeks ago that Jan and I attended. And he said, and it really broke my heart, he said in 5 seconds he can tell if he's speaking to a local Rhode Islander or not. And I'm sitting there thinking, because I'm a local Rhode Islander, because we're so happy. No, it was because how miserable they were. And he said this out loud. And I thought, that is so sad. That's a perspective thing. There's so many great things to be happy about in Rhode Island. So it's a mind shift. It's a perspective shift. And that's what starts with leadership. So leaders, the other things that other than perspective they need to have vision. They are responsible. You are responsible. Those of you that said you're leading for where your company's going and the vision. Empower. They have to be able to empower your team. You need to be able to get your team behind the vision and empower them to move. Teamwork, it is all about building great teams. Support. Too many of us try to do it ourselves. So what support groups? How many of you are business owners again? It can be lonely as business owners. So where's the support coming from? And the last bullet is fun. And I'm so glad because the company I was talking about that's fun was sitting on the half-empty side a few minutes ago. I thought this is going to be just great. They moved over to the half-full, so we're doing much better. And I thought that is going to be, fun is key. If you're having fun, you're going to do well. So let's start with the first one. Vision. The company that taught me about vision in 2009 was UPS. We have a representative from UPS here. There he is. Yes. It was actually Don Grecian from UPS, who's not this gentleman, but Don who actually mentors for 1 year. We are members of the Center for Women in Enterprise. And they actually do, every year they allow businesses to apply for a large corporation to be a mentor. And we applied. 2008, as I told you, we were looking to be more profitable, and UPS selected us to work. Their finance department came alongside us for a year, helping us put in better systems and processes to get our business on track and moving forward in 2009. But what he said to us, which I thought was fascinating, he told us it was our job as leaders of the company, myself and my two vice presidents, Jan and Amy, it was our job to cast the vision. And when he asked us, he took us through an exercise that we were to chart out everything we did with our days. And then we were to look at all the tasks that were on our plate and determine how many did we really have to do. And where could we actually hand things off. Now, I know it might surprise you, but the people who lead companies can tend to be type A. That gene did not sit with me, but Jen got double doses of type A. And Amy, my other vice president, is type A. So giving up things is hard. It's much easier if you just do it yourself. So it was a mind shift for our company to really learn how to push things down and start leading this company and figure out what we truly had to do. I got out of account management. Now, if any of you know what that term means, it's like project management. It means details. I just told you I'm not a type A person. I hated my job. I talked about how much I hated my job a lot to him. And one day he said to me, "You own the company. If you hate the job, you got a problem. You get to change the job." So I pulled myself out of something that I wasn't good at and forced me to look at how I took the business in the vision and the direction. So UPS is really someone who looks at that within their company, and they taught us that in 2009. Empower. Empower is a great story. How many have heard of Vico? How many have toured Vico? Awesome company in Wyoming, Rhode Island. Carl Wattenson, who was here earlier today, he has a radio show called Lane Nation. Lane Nation, and Mark and myself and Milani were on the show earlier here live. He is a character and a half, and he has taken this company and done remarkable things and inspiring people left and right. But what he'll tell you he did best was empower his people. And I went and visited them in September of 2009, and I told him tonight it was one of the main reasons for my shift in perspective. He used to run his company, these are his words, in a traditional command and control. He was in charge, do what I say, get it done. That was his theory. He shifted completely through lean training to 100% employee engagement. The biggest visual of that is they used to, when you take the tour, all their employees are the ones you're speaking to. And the employees would tell you they were sick to their stomach when their work days would start because the phone was just angry customer after angry customer after angry customer because they could not get products out the door fast enough. One of the reasons they couldn't get products out the door fast enough was because it took 2.5 hours to shift over a machine from building one part to another part. No one ever asked why. Carl finally asked why, and when I was there in September, they got that 2.5 hours down to 8 minutes. And when I talked to Carl yesterday, they just got it to 6.5 minutes. Same machines, same setup. What they used to do is 80 jobs a month. They now did 269 jobs in the month of March. It is an amazing story. Their next meeting, April 20th, which is open to any presidents or CEOs of any companies to go down and tour their facility for a morning, I would recommend you go do that. It will absolutely change your perspective. You can go through it with the manufacturers and maybe like I do and say, does this really apply to me? I'm in the service business. But then they take you through their marketing department and they tell you how it applies to you. It's an absolutely fascinating story. And the people love coming to work, and they're changing that company. And their current customer base is growing by 16%. In 2009, they grew by 16%, and the majority of their clients are in the construction industry. I think they're doing something right in Wyoming.